Hi, Mr. Durant. Steve Redmond here.
Good morning, Steve. How are you?
Very good.
Good.
The first question is the individual opening statements that we gave all the candidates, 2 minutes, and please include in your opening statement why you are running for this office of senator and what lasting accomplishments you hope to leave as your public service legacy.
I've been asked to state why I am running for the United States Senate and to talk about any lasting legacy that would exist if I were successful in running for the United States Senate. My answer is as follows. I am running for the United States Senate for 3 reasons. First, our country is in trouble. I love my country, and our country is in trouble. Number 2, I am running because our country is in the middle of a very fundamental debate about whether we will be an entitlement state or whether we will try freedom and constitutionally limited government. My 40 years of experience in extending freedom, in creating opportunities in freedom, and challenging the status quo make me well equipped in doing that. But the third reason I'm running is that when I looked at the candidates who were already in the race when I made the decision last August, Gary Glenn and Pete Hoekstra and Randy Heckman, all good men, I looked to determine who was in the best position to beat Debbie Stabenow. And I came to the conclusion that I needed to get in if we were going to beat Debbie Stabenow. I think you can only beat Debbie if you offer a clear choice. Number 2, that you can raise the financial resources to take her on because she's going to be immensely well funded. And 3, because you can penetrate her base. And I can penetrate and have already penetrated in our inner cities and also with blue-collar men and women. I believe that America will be great when America can unleash the economic vitality of a free society and unleash our men and women to be able to keep more of what they earn, to have more control over their own lives. I was a captain in the United States Army. I learned long ago that if you have a clear mission, and this mission is freedom, then you can achieve it with the right people and the right plan. And I think our plan for less taxes, less spending, less government, and more freedom will restore American greatness, and I intend to beat Debbie Stabenow in doing that.
What steps will you take as a senator to preserve and defend the U.S. Constitution, including threats to our Bill of Rights, Second Amendment rights, UN and international treaties or laws that subvert our constitutional freedoms, and the threat of Sharia law being accepted over U.S. and Michigan laws?
The question that has been asked is what would I do to assure our constitutional freedoms, to assure the integrity of the Second Amendment, to protect our country against Sharia law, and also the invasion of our sovereignty by UN treaties. Did I capture that, gentlemen?
Everything except the Bill of Rights, but I think you pretty much captured it.
Okay. I think that the most important thing to remember is the Constitution is our supreme law of the land. It is the guidepost for all decisions that ought to be made, not just by our courts, but by our Congress and by our President. American law for American courts. We protect our sovereignty. We don't get into treaties, and I would never vote for a treaty that would in any way impinge upon the sovereignty of the United States of America. I think our Second Amendment, frankly, I think all of our amendments are a part of that sacred document of our Constitution, and I would do all that I could as a United States Senator to defend and protect every amendment, but every aspect of our United States Constitution. And I have demonstrated in my service for Ronald Reagan and over the years in so many different things, and even in the selection of judges, that I am a constitutionalist. I believe in freedom. I believe in free men and women to be able to create a better America. But I would take all steps necessary, including if I were serving on the Senate Judiciary Committee, finding men and women to be judges who would uphold the law, and I would ask questions that would really penetrate into their legal thinking. I would like justices like Alito and Roberts and Clarence Thomas, those would be the kinds of judges that I would support. And it's Alito, not Aludo.
This is on economic reforms. What specific actions will you take as a senator to reduce our national deficit, balance the budget, and ensure appropriate entitlement reforms?
The question, as I heard it, was what would I do about our national deficit, about a balanced budget, and entitlement reforms. Did I miss anything?
You got it all. That's correct.
Okay. As a United States Senator, I believe that spending is out of control. I support the penny plan, the 1% reduction a year. That would get our budgets balanced within probably 6 to 8 years, probably. That's number one. I do support a balanced budget amendment so long as it is protecting us against tax increases. It would take a 2/3 vote to raise any taxes. I also think so long as it protects us against national defense or national emergencies. I think the best benchmark is to take Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution, the enumerated powers of Congress, and I would look at all the things that are funded by Congress and simply hold it up to that standard. Does it fall within the enumerated powers of the Constitution? If it doesn't, then I think we have to look and say then this funding should not be taking place. I would look at different agencies that ought to be eliminated, the Department of Education, the Department of Commerce, the Department of Energy, and begin to look at a variety of different activities that simply shouldn't be funded. And I think that if an entitlement reform, those are the biggest items on our budget are Medicare and Social Security, and we need to find ways to fundamentally get back to market principles rather than government principles in order to be successful. I think, by the way, the payroll tax is a penalty on workers, and we need to rethink how we fund Social Security so that it is secure and safe for our retirees.
This is on national security and border security. Mr. Durant, name 5 proposals you would make to maintain and improve our national security, armed forces, and improve our border security while maintaining respect for our freedoms and individual rights as American citizens.
The question is, name 5 options in order to improve our national security and also address how do we address border security without violating individual rights. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. First, let me talk about border security. Number one, we have to secure the borders. That is a fundamental responsibility of the federal government, although if our states like Arizona need to take steps to secure that border because the federal government isn't doing it, then we ought to support the state's efforts in order to secure those borders. Second, I would not have federal benefits for illegal aliens. They act as a draw to people to come across the borders and squat here illegally. But let me talk about national defense for just a second. I think it is absolutely important that America is the #1 power in the world. If America is not strong, the world is a dangerous place. Number two, I think that our economic growth is important to our national security because we have incurred so much debt, and now we are indebted to the Chinese, we are indebted to so many foreign lands, and we ought to be eliminating the debt through economic growth and security. I think that we need to support our veterans. I think we need to be very strong and project the American idea and presence wherever it is appropriate, consistent with our own defense. We have to remember that we are living in a world that is asymmetrical in terms of our enemies wishing to destroy the American idea of freedom and American exceptionalism. And so I would also look at the integrity of our money, because our money is undermining our security. The lack of the integrity of our money is undermining our security.
Mr. Durant, what detailed plan will you recommend to ensure that America becomes energy independent while also reducing unreasonable government regulations that hinder economic growth while still maintaining a commitment to clear air and water in the USA?
Okay, so what would I do about our energy plan, about government regulations, and all of that consistent with maintaining clean air and water?
That's correct.
Okay. I would, for energy, I would unleash the American entrepreneurial and innovative spirit. I would have drill, baby, drill safely with whether it's clean coal, oil, natural gas, or fracking, so that we can become energy independent and defund our enemies overseas. On regulations, I would repeal Obamacare, I would repeal Dodd-Frank, I would put a moratorium on any regulations and review the regulations of this past administration to determine whether they hinder or allow economic growth.
Okay, the next question is a 30-second response. In your opinion, does being born in the U.S. give a person automatic citizenship?
The question is, does being born in the United States give a person automatic citizenship? I would say that if you are born of an illegal immigrant, that is not an automatic citizenship. We also have a precedent because the children who are born of diplomats who are here legally do not automatically become American citizens. So I would say that that's the best answer.
Next question has a 90-second response. Mr. Durant, should the U.S. government bail out private sector companies that are failing?
Should the U.S. government bail out private sector companies that are failing? No, I don't think that that's a very good idea. And if I'm a United States Senator, I will not be supporting bailouts, because part of our market system not only allows for failure, but it allows for reorganization of companies that may have made a mistake. And we should use and honor the law as it is in our country, because we are a country of laws, and we should not be a country of political favorites, crony capitalism. So I would not be a senator who would vote to bail out companies. I would say we have the structure to allow companies to succeed and be reorganized. And there are all sorts of ways to provide debtor-in-possession financing. There are all sorts of ways to help companies to really use reorganization as an opportunity to expand their operations. And I would be very supportive, because I want to help, and I think that's why our current laws allow helping workers and companies get a better start.
This is a 30-second response question. What would be your priorities for U.S. foreign aid, and how would you monitor its effectiveness?
I think that the standard for U.S. foreign aid should be a constitutional standard. Does it help as far as our common defense, which is the #1 responsibility of the federal government? So I would look to aid to see whether or not it advances our purposes to defend who we are. And that may mean helping other countries in the same way, frankly, the French helped us at Yorktown. But I would look at foreign aid, which is a very small portion of the federal budget. But I would look at it from a constitutional standpoint regarding our defense and humanitarian.
Well, these are yes/no answers. Do you favor a balanced budget amendment to the U.S. Constitution?
I do support a properly drafted balanced budget amendment to the Constitution.
Do you favor unconditional amnesty for undocumented illegal immigrants?
I do not support unconditional amnesty for undocumented illegal immigrants.
Should Sharia law be allowed to take precedence over the United States and Michigan constitutions in American courts?
No, Sharia law should not be allowed to take precedence over our Constitution or our state constitutions.
Should the U.S. Senate ratify UN and international treaties that take precedence over the U.S. Constitution and state laws?
Well, our Constitution says that properly ratified treaties do become a part of the law of the land, but I would never vote to ratify a treaty that in any way jeopardizes our Constitution or our sovereignty, or that puts American troops under UN command.
Do you support public funding of abortion and/or embryonic stem cell research?
I do not support public funding of abortion. Henry Hyde was a friend of mine, and I'm a Hyde man.
To hold that position in this country today requires a tough hide.
You know, if you've never read it, Henry had a beautiful statement about when we meet our Maker. I should, if you'll, Jim, I have your email, but Steve, I don't have yours. If you would both send me an email, I'll send you back Henry's very beautiful statement about the culture of life and defending the most innocent, being obviously the unborn.
I appreciate that. I was a big Henry Hyde fan myself.
Yeah, well, he was a very good friend of mine, and we worked very closely together during the Reagan administration. A great champion. So send me an email, and I'll just shoot it back to you because it's a beautiful statement.
Very good. Next question, and not everybody answered this one. Who would get your support for U.S. President if the election was held today?
Well, when the presidential process began, I supported Tim Pawlenty because I thought he involved both the moral values, the practical values, and I loved his boldness on free market economics.
Next question. Do you support efforts to cut, cap, and balance the federal budget?
Well, do I support efforts to cut, cap, and balance the federal budget? The short answer is yes. I think there are a number of different ways to try to get to that point. The Tea Party effort has a proposed way to cut, cap, and balance. Even some of the ideas in Simpson-Bowles would allow a cut, cap, and balance as well. And clearly the House has already proposed different cut, cap, and balance efforts. I think within that we'll find the way to get our budget in balance and get constitutionally limited government.
Next question. Do you support a valid picture ID requirement for Michigan voters?
Yes, I support a picture ID for Michigan voters.
Next question. Do you support right-to-work legislation at both the state and federal levels?
Yes, I support right to work at both the state and the federal level, but not with a constitutional amendment.
Next question. Would you support impeachment of President Obama if he seriously violates his oath of office?
I would support the impeachment of any federal officer who violates his oath of office.
Next question. Would you eliminate all earmarks?
Yes. Yes, I would eliminate all earmarks.
Next question. Do you oppose United Nations Agenda 21?
Yes, I oppose United Nations Agenda 21.
So feel free to make your closing statement now.
Well, I want to thank the Ottawa County and this effort to vet the candidates. I think it's a good way because this has really been fabulous. So let me just start my opening in this fashion. I am running for the United States Senate because our country is in trouble. We are losing a sense of the American idea that is rooted in our Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. I also recognize that, when I signed up to be an officer in the United States Army, I did it because I admired my father, who was a captain in the United States Army in World War II, but I also did it because I love my country. And I think we all need to love our country even more and the idea that makes our country exceptional. I also believe that the real campaign begins the day after the election. If this was just about beating Debbie Stabenow, I would not be running for the United States Senate. I believe Michigan can fire the second shot heard round the world by giving the whole country an opportunity to see that a constitutionally limited government, freedom-loving, well-experienced candidate can come out of Michigan that will help our country reshift the debate to freedom. I am very pleased that we have raised over $1.3 million in just 4 months. that people are anxious for our campaign and for me to have the resources to get our message out. And I think as we make our decision, we need to not just, there's great similarity between the candidates on the Republican side in running for this race. What we need to say is who is in the best position to beat Debbie Stabenow. I was very touched that one of the Tea Party members of the United States Senate, Senator Mike Lee, has endorsed me. I'm very touched that Ed Meese, who has direct connection and relationship with Ronald Reagan going back 40 years, recently endorsed me and talked about how my role and my work under the President had been so successful and that he thought I would make a great senator. I'm grateful to the President of Hillsdale College, Dr. Larry Arnn, who recognized that these unusual times require unusual people, and that of all the candidates, the person best equipped to deal with our constitutional crisis and to speak in the framework of limited government was me. And I'm grateful that 40 years ago I started Imprimis for Hillsdale College in order to spread the message of freedom, because freedom does work. And I want to be the voice for the people of Michigan in restoring freedom, in restoring constitutionally limited government to our country. So God bless America. God bless all the people in Michigan from whatever walk of life, no matter what your background. The Clark Durant campaign is about the American way, not the Washington way, and let's do this together. God bless you all, and thank you very much.